Welcome back to the channel. We're back with our commander deck profile. We're back with the secondary commander for one of the new precons coming out with Edge of Eternities. Heathull, a Worldseed. For one, a black, a red, and a green. You get a station, which does need to be crewed with your creatures, which you do by tapping creatures with power, and that power gets put onto it as some counters. Once it has the 2 counters on it, you can pay 1 mana, sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards, and you may play an additional land this turn. Super good ability there, helping us with some landfall. Or once you get to 8+, whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life, and it becomes a 6/7. So it does become a creature at that point. But this is a super cool ability because there are a lot of ways to sacrifice lands in green. Also in the other colors as well, but green is our main bread and butter that we have with this deck. We have a bunch of things to benefit off that landfall ability while we're at it. But yeah, that's going to be the general overview to the deck. Let's get into it card by card. Starting off, we have Amulet of Vigor, permanency control that would enter the battlefield tapped under your control, untap it instead, because a lot of the cards that put lands onto the battlefield have them enter tapped. Let's have it enter untapped so that we can make sure we could use it in order to sacrifice more lands. Arcane Signet, just for some early mana. Chocobo Racetrack, since we're going to be putting so many lands on the battlefield, let's put plenty of Chocobos on the battlefield while we're at it. Conduit of Worlds, since we're going to be sacrificing lands, we want a way to get them back from the graveyard, because otherwise we have no mana to actually do anything. And it also has the second ability to be able to cast any spell from any permanent spell from our graveyard. But it's mostly playing lands from our graveyard we'll be using with this one. Crucible of Worlds, in order to play something lands from our graveyard as well, in order to make sure once again we get those sacrifice lands back. Horn of Greed, whenever a player plays a land, that player draws a card. We're going to be playing plenty of lands, so we may as well draw plenty of cards off that. Soul Ring, because you can't not run Soul Ring. Zurin Orb, so we could deal 2 damage to our opponent for every land we sacrifice, and gain 2 life off of each of those. And it's also each opponent loses 2 life. It's not just like we're dealing damage to one of them. We're actually getting some benefit off of that while we're at it. Ancient Green Warden, since we have some landfall abilities in here, we may as well double up on those, right? Also allows you to play some lands from your graveyard. I mean, super fun ability, especially because, like I said, we're going to be having them in our graveyard, so we need a way to get them out. Avenger of Zendikar, another way to benefit off those landfall abilities there, but also a way to get plenty of tokens on the battlefield to protect you, and plenty of things that'll crew your Heathull when it inevitably gets removed. Azusa, Lost but Seeking. Another way to get those additional lands on the battlefield. We need a way to get them on the battlefield if we're going to be sacrificing them. But, I mean, it's kind of cool as well, where if you have Evolving Wilds, you can play Evolving Wilds, sacrifice Evolving Wilds, get it back from your graveyard, because you have Ancient Greed Ward on the battlefield, obviously, by turn 2. No. But yeah, no, just good ability there, getting us those additional lands to sacrifice Birds of Paradise for just a little bit of extra mana early game. Dryad of the Leasing Grove, letting you play the additional land, and also your lands are every basic land type or in 3 colors, so let's help us out a little bit there. While we're at it, Elvish Mystic for some additional mana. We do still have these mana dorks in here, just because we want to make sure that we can have actual things to crew our vehicles, and not just, wait around and die. Lotus Cobra for some additional mana on top of when our lands enter. Not just the mana from the land, but the mana from Lotus Cobra. Mina Den, Wildborn, play additional land each turn. Return land to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. I mean, we get some big creatures on this board. And we get to play additional land. No reason not to. Morag for Vakum. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it's attacked this turn. Whenever land you control enters. If it's your main phase, there's a combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. So let's just say, hypothetically, we have Morag and Zeus on the battlefield together. I mean, just think about it. You play, well, say, even if we have that plus Crucible Worlds, we play Morag, we play our Evolving Wilds, we get the additional combat phase, take the extra combat phase, play the Evolving Wilds, sacrifice that first Evolving Wilds, get additional combat phase, use Zeus's ability, you get an additional combat phase when a new Evolving Wild enters, sacrifice again, so you get those 6 combat phases, and everything's getting +6/+0, giving it trample with Mina. I think that's enough to win the game, or at least eliminate one person. Up next, List of Fallen. For 5 mana, you get Dreed, but whenever a land you control enters, you may have target player lose Dreed life and put 3+1/+1 counters onto Obnix list. So now on top of those lands you control entering, you're dealing, on top of that combat damage you're doing with Morag, you're also dealing, you had 6 lands enter total, so 18 damage to target player if you want to. I mean, also, plus if you have your commander on the board, that's an additional 6 mana on top of that. It's 24 mana. Sorry, 24 damage. Omnath, Locust of Rage. Whenever land you control enters, create a 5/5 red-green elemental creature token. Super helpful there to help us block. Whenever this creature or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to any target. And that's an extra burn, because, it's just helpful enough for us. Rada, Heart of Keld. So it's your turn. As first strike, you may look at the top card of your library. Anytime you may pull lands from there as well. This way we don't have to wait for them out of the graveyard or out of our hand. Gets +X/+X, where X is the number of lands you control for 6 mana. This could be a pretty strong creature at a certain point. Rampaging Bailouts, another good landfall ability there. Against those extra tokens. Ramunap Excavator allows us to initial white those lands out of our graveyard. Sakura Tribe Elder against those additional landfalls. Scoots form. You are in green and you are playing plenty of lands. I mean, how could you not? There's also a new Scoot. What was it? There's a new black-green one that does the Scoot Swarm thing, which is going to be quite mean. Coming up 6 in order to get some lands into our graveyard, and then actual lands into our hand, allowing us to recur some other things other than just our lands. Spring Bloom Druid, when this creature enters, you sacrifice a land, which we like to see. Get 2 basic lands out of our deck and put them onto the battlefield. Sylvan Safekeeper, another way to sacrifice some lands or give our creatures hexproof. Get Rogue Monster, sacrifices land every turn, dealing it damage. Once again, Sylvan Safekeeper is similar to Zern Orb, where you could just sacrifice all your lands, dealing all the damage to all your opponents if you have enough lands. Speaking of having enough lands, Tifa Lockhart, in order to keep doubling her power, or to keep dealing more and more damage to our opponents. Tireless Provisioner, gets the food or treasure, depends what we need, but normally treasure. Tireless Tracker, for some clue tokens or for that little bit of draw power when we need it. Titania, Princess of Argot, enters battlefield to turn target land from our graveyard to the battlefield, which is going to be good because we're going to be sacrificing them. And whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. With how much we're going to be sacrificing lands, that's going to be a lot of green elementals, which is then going to be a lot of elementals get removed with Omnath's ability. Topiary's Tomper, for that additional land while we're at it. Traveling Chocobo. We have all these landfall abilities, may as well double up on them, or quadruple them if we have Ancient Greenwater on the battlefield. World Shaper, Mildry, but then return all lands from our graveyard to the battlefield. I think that's worth it, because we're going to have a lot in our graveyard once again. Burgeoning, whenever an opponent plays a land, you may choose a land from your hand, put it onto play. It is a pretty expensive card, but I mean, if you have, it allows you to start with a 5-land hand and actually be able to get them on the battlefield. Exploration, or play some additional lands while we're at it, in order to make sure we have those lands to sacrifice with Hearthole. Spelunking, in order to make sure our lands don't enter tapped. It also gets us a little bit of draw power, but it's making sure our lands don't enter tapped that we want for. And Squandered Resources, another way to sacrifice our lands. We could do it to all of our lands if we really want to. Add 1 mana to our mana pool for any type that land could produce. This could be activated as a mana source, but I mean, that is really useful because that can't be interrupted, and you can sacrifice those lands. Each opponent loses 2 life each time. If you have 20 lands on board, that's game. Do we not? Oh no, I just want your enchantments. Then for our instance, we have Abrupt Decay. Can be countered, but destroy target non-land permanent. Nice removal. Same with Assassin's Trophy for some removal. Also remove our own. Oh no, sorry, this one can't remove our own stuff. It says permanent and opponent controls. Beast Within for some removal. Chaos War for some removal. In theory. Constant Miss. Buyback to sacrifice land. Creatures deal no combat damage this turn. That includes ours if we really want to. You may sacrifice the land at other costs in order to play the spell. If you do this, if you do, put Concordant Crossroads into your hand instead of your graveyard as part of the spell's ability, which, I mean, we're not scared of sacrificing lands. We may as well have that in there to do it. Crop Rotation, or another way to sacrifice lands in order to get our better lands onto the battlefield. Dark Ritual for just some additional mana. Entis Restoration, we're going to tend to have a creature power 4 greater on the battlefield, but we sacrifice a land or get some additional lands. Sacrifice the land's main ability that we care about there. Entomb, search your right for a card, put that card into graveyard and shuffle. We have a lot of recursion in this deck, so may as well. Harrow, another way to sacrifice some lands or get some additional lands. Heroic Intervention, in order to protect our stuff. Rain of Filth, each land you control gains, sacrifice this land, add some black mana to your mana pool. I mean, that's a pretty good ability because we also deal 2 damage and get that mana while we're at it. And also that sacrifice this land doesn't include tapping it, so we can tap it for its normal mana and get that additional mana. Yep. Rolling Regrowth, another way to sacrifice lands, get some additional lands. Cultivate, another way to get some additional lands. Diabolic Intent, may as well search out the best card in our deck and put it right into our hand. It's probably going to be, like, honestly, it might be Zoran Orb. Nature's Lore, get a forest onto the battlefield, Rampant Growth, get a land, Escape Shift, sacrifice any number of lands, all of our lands, dealing 20 damage to our opponent because we have 10 lands, right? And then you may put that many lands onto the battlefield tapped, getting all those landfall abilities while we're at it. Splendid Reclamation, turn all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Do I not have Lumber in here? I didn't put Lumber in here. Okay, remove something and put Lumber. You have 39 lands, you remove a land, sure. Splendid Reclamation, turn all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Sylvan Scrying, search library for land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. I mean, we like to see a building. But yeah, as always, I'm just going to scroll through the lands here to end the video. But if you guys like the video, make sure you like the video. If you have your comments on how you'd run the deck differently, if you'd run Lumber, put it down there in the comment section. And if you want to see more like this, because we're going to be trying to cover all the, let's say, Final Fantasy commanders, Edge of Eternities commanders, subscribe so you can stay tuned for that. Thanks for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.